Talk about the schedule. We got to talk about the event that happened yesterday, the Disney event. And it's kind of funny because people were saying this weekend there's a ton of digital events. Yesterday was this Disney digital event. Today is Ubisoft Forward. I believe there's another one coming up. It might be like a Nintendo Direct. And people are like, Phil, are you going to cover them? Yes, I'm going to talk about them on the podcast. That's why I do a podcast every day, right? And then people are like, well, Phil, are you going to do a live react to them? And, I think about it. And the more I think about it, the answer is no. All right, and here's why. There's a couple reasons. Number one, the last few digital events I covered, okay, including Gamescom, which was, a couple weeks ago, the Summer Games Fest stuff, right? And those other digital events that they did. Well, they were all right to cover live, but I don't necessarily think that covering them live really necessarily added anything. And what I mean by that is, what I used to do when I covered these shows is I would do what was called a recap reactions. I would watch them live with you guys, okay? And I would be... Hold on a second, because the color's off again. That better? It is. Look at that. I became amazingly more flesh-colored with the click of a button. Isn't that amazing? Okay, anyway. What I used to do is I would watch these events live, but I would not live commentate over them. Instead, I would watch them live with you, and we'd be sitting in a stream chat talking with each other, and I'd be taking notes. I would allow my thoughts to formulate around what we were watching, okay? And then I would do my recap reactions immediately following them. Now, this is what I used to do for E3. E3 doesn't exist anymore, right? But that's how I used to tackle it. People really liked that, because instead of me just live reacting to shit on the screen and not having much to say, instead, it's me formulating thoughts and having intelligent thoughts about the things that are going on. Very different from the style of live react that most content creators do today, right? So, that's how I always enjoyed doing it. But this year, people kind of almost demanded that I adjust to how everyone else does it. And so I did. Now, some of the live reacts I've done, I felt were really useful. For example, reacting to the Down the Rabbit Hole documentary about Wings of Redemption, or about myself, or the John and Rambo video, the John and Howard video, was pretty neat to be able to watch, comment, and add supplementary information and my perspective on it, right? But I don't know necessarily how much the reacting has really added much at all to the gaming events. And in reality, for the amount of setup it takes and the fact that it takes away from my streaming time, my normal streaming time to do them, I haven't seen payoff. Attendance isn't that great. Support isn't that great. Views on YouTube aren't that great. Essentially, it's kind of like, meh, Phil did it, okay. It's not a big deal, you see. To give you some perfect perspective here, yesterday was a new release day. I played Splatoon 3 on the first stream, and then we had our usual Friday Night Fights fighting game stuff on the late stream. Both streams went well. Viewership was good. Support was good. Zero complaints. I had a good time. But yesterday was the digital event for Disney. I could have taken time out of my regular streams to react to the Disney event, but guess what? There's almost nothing to talk about. Half the presentation was about mobile games no one cares about. The other quarter of the presentation was just updates on games with no concrete information at all, with very little to talk about. We will talk about maybe the 2 to 3 updates that they actually gave in the event that people cared about. And then the other funny part about this was, the games everyone wanted to know about, like Spider-Man and Wolverine, they only showed off in a closing montage with zero information. Wow, that would have been a great live react. I would have wasted an hour of my stream of boredom, having nearly nothing to say. I could easily do it right now on the podcast today, which is the point of me having a podcast every day. You see? So here's the thing. Today, there's an Ubisoft Forward event. Yes, it takes place during my live stream. Do I care? Not really. I'll look up the information. I'm sure you guys will tell me the information during the stream regardless. We'll talk about it over the streams or tomorrow. It's not a big deal. I don't have to completely change my schedule around for this. And you know what's really funny about this? There's people who actually fly to these events. I'm not kidding. There's journalists, I should say that in quotation marks, journalists who literally fly to these events to sit there for an hour and watch nothing. Why? Why the fuck are you there? There's no reason for you to go there. You've wasted your time, money, and effort. There's no reason for anyone to be there in person. You've missed nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, even shit. When I was at E3 10 years ago, in person, I was at E3. I didn't know why I was there. I learned more about most games by going online and reading about it on the online videos and presentations than I was being there in person. You see what I'm saying? None of this makes any sense. So, I'm well aware all these digital things are going on right now. Great. Do I care about them? Well, yeah. I want to hear about all the announcements coming out of them. I'd love to talk about them. Well, like I said, in just a few moments here, we'll talk about the Disney event and the things that I know came out of the event. So that's great. But, no, I'm not bending over backwards to cover them live. The live reacts I've done to these this year haven't been popular. All right? I'm just going to cover them like I would like to on my podcast and or answering questions live on streams. Okay? So there you go. It's that simple. I'm not going to waste any more time on the baloney because I wasted a lot of time on the baloney this year and I really feel like it didn't pan out. Now, on the flip side of that, some of the other reacts we've done this year were great.